Greetings, Tezos Nation. Welcome to another edition of TezTalks Live. I'm Stu from the Tezos Commons. Joining me today is Yann Regis-Gianas, Head of Engineering at Nomadic Labs. Yann is joining us today to give us a sneak peek into the upcoming Tallinn Proposal and bring us up to speed on the ongoing evolution of the Tezos X roadmap. Hi, Yann. Where are you right now and how's the weather?
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm actually in the Nomadic Labs office, in the basement, in this very special room where you can see there is some principle on the wall, and the weather is quite bad, rainy in Paris.
But the weather's always comfortable in the basement, right?
Yeah. No windows, so no way to actually see the weather.
Awesome. Given that this is not your first appearance here on TezTalks Live, I'll dispense with our traditional intro into your background and Tezos journey, and instead ask you to introduce Nomadic Labs a little bit for the uninitiated, if that's okay.
No, of course that's okay. I'm really pleased always to present Nomadic Labs. It's probably the first company that started working on the Tezos project. It was mostly focused on core engineering, so building the protocols and the nodes and what is called today Octets. It's a distribution that allows you to participate in the Tezos protocol, Tezos blockchain. We also have some people doing business development and marketing and communication there. It's I don't know, maybe 60 people, 70 people today. Wow. A lot of engineers with PhDs, but also very good at hacking. That's mostly it. And we are in Paris near the Bastille. You will see a very large logo on the windows. And we are.
Very cool. That's quite a big team.
Yeah, it's a big team indeed.
Can you talk a bit about your role as head of engineering at Nomadic Labs? Like, what types of things are you focused on here in the Tezos ecosystem?
So my role as head of engineering is, I would say, twofold. First aspect is to make sure that the team is delivering and very focused on what we need to do to be impactful for the Tezos project. So that's very important to structure the work, to give very clear objectives, very clear roadmaps, priorities, and also passion, because that's needed to make all this work. So that's the first aspect. The second, I would say, is to try to really understand deeply the industry, what matters, what is trendy, and sometimes not that important, but it's really to make choice. Of course, I'm not alone. The point is to organize the decision-making regarding the technical roadmap. So that's also a very important part of my job at every level. So it can be general directions, what is feasible, technically speaking, but also trying to also detect where the directions is not the right, because sometimes you make the wrong choice and actually it gets you more, it can generate a lot of delays in the delivery. So it's really important to be technically savvy and really know your stuff, I would say.
Okay. And speaking of knowing your stuff, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is certainly not your first appearance here on TezTalks Live. It's your third, in fact. And I went back and I checked. Your first appearance was 2 years ago. Your second appearance was 1 year ago. And now here you are today. How have things changed for you in your journey with Tezos since we first started talking?
Oh, it's a very good question. I think for me, there are things that haven't changed. Really, the passion for it. I really think Tezos is a great project. because it's a long term. It's very backed up by a beautiful vision, and it's pure, it's clear, it's with no compromise. I really like that, and at the same time, very ambitious in terms of, I would say, technical roadmap and product. So we really want to give the best to builders and end users, etc. So this has not changed. What has changed is probably the fact that so many things have happened in 2 years. So many things. Like 2 years ago, what we didn't have Etherlink, for instance, big piece. The Tezos X roadmap was just being drafted, not really clear. And today, if you look at where we are actually, it's getting real. It's actually, the vision is being realized gradually in incremental way. And I will come back on this, but end of 2026, we will have the full vision in place. So for me, that's huge, because it means that we have been able to tackle so many new things, to learn so many things. And for me, every day is a different day, to be honest.
Beautiful. So you and the Nomadic Labs team are obviously quite heavily involved in the development of Tezos protocol upgrade proposals. Tallinn, which I mentioned off the top, will be, if I'm not mistaken, the Tezos ecosystem's 20th protocol upgrade if it's adopted by the community. Before we dive into the details of the Tallinn proposal, what have we learned about the Tezos ecosystem, its community, and its governance through 19 adopted and implemented protocol upgrades?
If there is only one thing that we have learned, that it's automatically putting the bar high, having all this process of getting the go of the community is just unusual. As an engineer, what you do is, well, you do your best. At some point, you release, and that's it. Okay, that's what you deliver. That's not how it works. Here, what we have learned is to be in a continuous conversation with the community, so that everything that we propose actually makes sense, and there is no surprise. There is no surprise, because we have this open connection, this open feedback loop with them, and we are as transparent as we can to make sure the process is working well. So I think what we have learned is that there is no shortcut. We cannot just force it. It needs to be very transparent by construction, and it's putting the bar super high.
Awesome. So Tezos is essentially averaging one protocol upgrade per quarter, and has been for several years. How does that stack up against other blockchain ecosystems in this space?
If I'm correct, I think Ethereum has only half of this. Okay, and considering all the resources, and it's a huge blockchain, and they are not able to move as fast as us. Of course, we can try to move even faster, and that's our goal always. But it says a lot about how having thoughts about the governance, the incrementality, the process of continuously evolve actually makes a difference when you look at two chains that have been there almost for the same amount of time. Once have been able to evolve far quicker than the other. So I think it's a good comparison. It's a fair one, and it's really this very nice choice of on-chain governance from the beginning that probably made a huge difference.
And it does align with the original vision for Tezos, which was a blockchain designed to evolve.
Yes.
But from a blockchain ecosystem operation standpoint, with those 19 upgrades under this ecosystem's belt, what has all that enabled in terms of Tezos's infrastructure and overall performance?
Try to keep this high level, because if you look at all the features that have been there, if you look at every protocol, every time there are a lot to say, and that's why we had that kind of talks to discuss every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But if we take some step back, okay, we think, okay, what has changed so much? I think the main change to me is the scalability of the system. We are credible as a blockchain to say that at some point, even one blockchain could handle the need for the global system, for the whole economy, okay? We are in the right direction to be able to say that very clearly, and just to not only say it, but demonstrate that it's possible. And I think that's the main point, because when I arrived, everyone was talking about the bottlenecks, the fees that were super high, because, you have to use the chains at the right hours of the day if you want to avoid paying $100 just to have an NFT. That has changed so much, and I think that's probably if there's one thing I want to share is this one, and there are many other things that have changed. I mean, we are discovering and still discovering the product, the blockchain itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's still under definition, okay? And of course, there are a lot of institutions, DeFi, a lot of interest. But at the end of the day, it's still a very open game, actually,
Mm-hmm.
because people can make new proposals.
Okay. And now we have the upcoming Tallinn Proposal, as I mentioned, which is comprised of 5 key elements for the next stage of the Tezos ecosystem's evolution. I'd like to run through all 5 of them with you, if that's okay.
Yes.
First, we have storage fees for smart contracts being reduced significantly if Tallinn is adopted by the community. Why is it important to reduce those fees, and what will it mean in practice for those building on Tezos?
So I like to start with this one because it's a bit technical, but I will make it simple. But to understand, and it has it's small thing that has a so large impact. So let me explain the idea. It's super simple. If you look at a smart contract stores things on chain. Okay, simply to remember, let's say the who owns what. That's this NFT. Oh, it is linked to this address. That's the owner, etc., etc. And actually, if you look at all the contracts, there is a kind of data that is repeated everywhere. It's addresses. Because as you know, when you are a user, it's not your name that is used on the chain, it's your addresses, the addresses of your wallet. Okay. Now, if you look at the addresses in their form, natural form, it's quite a long piece of data. Technically, it's 22 bytes on average. I mean, in general, in blockchain, it can vary a bit, but let's forget about that. 22 bytes. And the idea here is simply to use in your smart contract not the 22 bytes that actually represent the address, but just a number, a small number that actually is the index. It's just a number that the protocol decides for this address, reducing to only 3 bytes or 4 bytes the number of data required. And not only you do that, but you also use the fact that you are using small numbers to use smart ways to store things. I won't enter into these details. But overall, the impact is that you reduce the storage by 50 to 100. And it's huge. It means, for instance, we were doing some work on some NFT marketplace we wanted to migrate, etc. And we had to mint millions of NFT. And the cost with the old model was millions of Tez. Moving to this, 50K. Okay, you see the immediate impact. So it means that the cost of storage will be so little now, so low that people will really realize this. But I need to say that it's only for contracts that will use this feature. So the old contract won't automatically use this, but builders can redeploy a version of their contracts with this new instruction used, so that they can profit from this low cost of storage.
Okay. Second, a reduction in block times down to 6 seconds. Yes. How exactly will this be enabled if Tallinn is implemented?
Yeah. Let me just tell you and make you feel actually what it means to have 6-second block time.
Okay.
Okay? So it's easy. And done. The payment is done. Okay? It was quite quick, right?
Thank you for clarifying.
So, you can feel it, right? We move from 60 seconds at some point to 6 seconds. So it's really a change in terms of UX, in terms of latency, how you feel the interaction with the chain. It's not sub-second. Sub-second, it's like this. You get that on Etherlink, and we'll come back on this with Tezos X, but actually it's already very good, okay? You don't have to wait that long. And for a payment, a large payment, staking, etc., it's all right. And today, the role of the L1 is mostly to allow the L2, so canonical rollup, to bridge assets from other chains. So essentially, what we say is that we use the settlement layer, the L1 layer, to determine when something is clearly true, finalized. Okay, and the fact that it's getting faster and faster means that bridging between chains to Tezos is actually faster than before. So that's the main impact of this change.
Okay. Third,
yes.
After Tallinn is implemented, all bakers will attest all blocks, which I understand is essentially a mechanism for ensuring that baking rewards become more predictable and less random. Why is making Tezos baking rewards more reliable an important priority?
Imagine you're a baker, and you look at your rewards, and you need to do some statistics to make sure that they make sense. Maybe there is a bug, maybe there is something that is wrong with them. But it's really hard to check because it's normal that it varies. That's what happens today. You got this random at the beginning of every cycle. You have some random, some dice that are, it's really that used to determine who will actually be part of the consensus for this cycle. That's not good for the UX for the reason I've explained. Now, nothing like this will ever occur. Simply, if you're a baker and you have stake, you participate to the consensus. End of the story.
Okay.
So your reward is completely proportional to your actual participation to the consensus, to your stake, and it's far easier to predict and to understand what is happening. So it's more clarity, more transparency, and better UX at the end of the game of the day.
Okay, well that makes sense. And fourth, we have an item that's I don't totally understand. It's related to this proposal and the all bakers attest all blocks feature, but not actually in this proposal completely. Something to do with a new kind of address called a TZ4 and a do-it-yourself method for building hardware, ledgers, and signers. As you can tell, I don't understand.
No, it's quite technical. So let me help you get a very simple model of this. With Seoul, that is already activated, actually something internally changed in the protocol, in the consensus. Okay, essentially, we introduced a new cryptographic scheme called BLS. But that's a bit abstract, but you will understand immediately what it means. It means that when a baker attests, so sign, and saying, oh, yes, I've seen that, I agree that the consensus is respected, etc. These operations in the past were, I would say, isolated. Each of them were treated, processed by the protocol independently. With BLS, we have a possibility to actually take two attestations and make one out of it.
Okay.
And you can do that in cascade. So 200 attestation become only one, and that's the only one that is checked by the protocol. Roughly speaking, that's how it works. Okay. So it means that with Seoul, we've been able to reduce a lot the amount of information that is checked and actually distributed on the network by several orders of magnitudes. Okay. So that's an internal aspect of the protocol, but it allows us to reduce the block time, etc., because it's more efficient. But okay, that's the work of engineer. Now for bakers, what does that mean? If we want it to be fully active, actually we really need bakers to move to this new kind of addresses. And it's not immediate, you cannot force it. You have to provide to the bakers a way to do this when they are ready, when according to their setup, to their constraints, etc. Okay, and it's how to say that? It's not fully needed to optimize the protocol, but for the quorum to be a full quorum, it's actually important that all bakers, a large majority of bakers, more than 50%, to be specific, actually use the new BLS scheme. Okay, so what we have done, instead of forcing everyone and saying, "Oh, you don't respect this constraint, go away," we have set up a gradual, or let's say a mechanism that will activate the feature only when everyone is, more than 50% are ready.
Okay.
So that's something that people need to understand. The predictable rewards will only activate when everyone is ready, which is fine. And that's another point that you will introduce later, I know, but it's for us, the problem was not only to make technically the protocol able to do that, but also to prepare all the tooling so that bakers can say, okay, it's just me to allocate the time to figure out how it works, to really understand, but all the tooling is there. And that's the work from the ecosystem and also core engineers.
Okay. And finally, we have an item that I understand has been removed from the Tallinn proposal based on community feedback, which was a reduction of the lens cycle to 4 hours, which was intended to reduce the time required for unstaking. How much can you tell us about what the problem was with this feature and from the Tezos community's perspective, and why that led to it ultimately being removed from the Tallinn proposal?
So just to be clear, it has been removed from the proposal because we felt that the community was not completely aligned with this proposal. So we prefer to put it on ice. So, okay, let's hold it. We will continue discussing and propose it maybe in the next one. Okay, just to be clear, it's not removed. Sometimes we have bad ideas, that happens to everyone, but that's, in my opinion, that's not the case here. It's really, okay, we felt we had to continue the discussion, so that's why we withdraw this feature. What was it about? You may remember that in the previous protocol, we already reduced the time it takes to unstake funds by reducing technically the length of cycles. And today, it's a 1 day cycle, which is easy to remember, and it means that it takes you several days to unstake. Now we wanted to propose to reduce the cycle even further to 4 hours. And that way, essentially, you can stake in 12 hours. Okay. Why? Why do you want to say that? Well, imagine you're a baker. You stake, But these funds, you're okay to freeze them for the security, but you also want to know, okay, if at some point I need these funds, is it easy to withdraw them or to unstake them? That's the question. How much are they frozen? Okay. It's unclear because some chains are a very long frozen period, some others smaller, etc. So it's hard to know. We don't have data, very clear data. But what we have noticed is that when we have decreased the previous decrease, actually leads to an higher stake ratio. So for us, it was actually a positive trend. Reducing seems to imply that the staking ratio increase. That's what we want for the security of the chain. So we say, okay, let's continue. And some people said, okay, yeah, maybe it's a good idea, but also think about the panic movement. If for some reason there are some volatility, I mean, the market is crazy, what people do is to withdraw their funds in general. And the security of the chain could be endangered by that kind of panic movement, which is an acceptable argument in terms of psychology. It makes sense, okay? But now the question is, okay, should we be driven by data or by that kind of model of maybe a bit more speculative, anticipating some behaviors without any data? I'm more in the perspective of data-driven decision, okay? But I completely understand that it needs to be discussed. We are in this discussion, and I think we should all keep in mind that we want the best protocol. We don't want to capture users. We want to give them freedom as much as possible, as long as the security of the chain is preserved. So that's the discussion that is ongoing. What I really like is the fact that, again, the discussion with the community is at work here. As I've said before, if we are not convincing enough, the bar is here. If we are below the bar on some feature, we remove it and we continue the discussion. I think it's very healthy as an ecosystem to work like that.
Okay. And what does that process look like of engaging with the Tezos community about something like that feature of Tallinn and evaluating the merits of the community's objections to it? What does that look like in practice?
So in practice, we have Agora. It is simply a forum where a lot of discussions happen, and we have a very strict process of feedback loop. So essentially, when we have an idea and it has been stabilized in core engineers' mind, because otherwise, I mean, you need to be at least ready to have the conversation. If you are not sure on your side why you want to propose something, you need to revise a bit your copy. But what is happening is when we are ready, we open the feedback loop and we say, okay, we want to get your feedback even before we make the proposal to determine if this feature is the one you think you need, or what kind of variation we need to do. So we post on Agora, we get the feedback, we reply saying, okay, that's what we understand, that's our decision from our side on our proposal. Of course, everyone is open, has a capacity to do a proposal. So at some point, we need to arbitrate. And this process takes maybe 2 to 3 weeks. I think it's very, very fruitful. And we have experts, of course. We have expertise, so we can assess when an answer is scientifically, technically valid or not. And we say so very publicly. That's invalid for this reason. And otherwise, it's a matter, at some point, it's a matter of strategy. It's different. And in the case of the unstaking period, it was a complex choice, so we prefer to defer it to make sure we make the right one.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying the Tallinn Proposal. What? When does Tallinn Proposal? When do people begin voting on it?
Voting, it's mid-November.
Okay. Now that we've talked about your role with Nomadic and the Tallinn Proposal, I was hoping we could zoom out a little bit and talk about the journey toward Tezos X.
Yes.
First off, as a key member of the Nomadic Labs team who've taken a leading role in bringing Tezos X to life, what exactly is Tezos X and what does it mean for the Tezos ecosystem moving forward?
Yeah. The Tezos X roadmap is a proposal, as usual, a proposal to evolve Tezos to, I would say, a next generation blockchain. We want to always be ahead of the industry, okay? And I think the main idea of the Tezos X roadmap is to have a very modulitic approach. I know this word has been used everywhere, but it's modular and monolithic. So it says, okay, let's separate a lot of concerns in different components. But instead of accepting any of this modular module to be part of the system, we also have a monolithic approach. So we want to control the full stack in the sense of having a very consistent approach to define how all these layers work together. Mm-hmm. That's two ideas. The industry is really into modular blockchains, but in the sense of having, this company developing these components and this one, etc., and then people composing by themselves their stack. We are in a different approach. We are modular, but we have a single stack that is very well thought. Yeah. That's the Tezos X approach, technically speaking. Now, what does that mean? I'm talking as an engineer here. What does that mean? It means that with Tezos X, you will never think about the cost of transactions, because one very important part is scalability. Mm-hmm. 1 million TPS in a single rollup. So that's something that people need to remember. It's also, maybe people don't understand that very well, but it's also about what is called interoperability. It's a technical word, but it just says, come as you are, from where you are. You're a JavaScript developer. Don't learn new things. Come as a JavaScript developer and deploy on Tezos X. It will just work. Okay, so that's another proposition of value, and another one is composability. It's okay. You deploy something in EVM or Michelson or JavaScript. Your app will compose with other. Will have automatic access to the liquidity everywhere, mm-hmm. With no cost and no latency. It's automatically available. Okay, so that's another very important point for builders. So it means they can choose any technology. Actually, they will be reachable from everywhere and have access to the full capacity of the system just because it is thought like that.
Okay. Well, I like the way you put that, come as you are, as the larger vision for the ecosystem. Yeah. Yes. Obviously, it's something that's like, it's easy to say and just quite complex to deliver, right?
Oh, yes.
If you want, essentially what I'm hearing is the message is, whatever you're doing, wherever you're doing it, we can work with you because we've scaled our ecosystem to be prepared for you to do that. Yes. Looking at the Tezos X roadmap that was released when this was all first announced, it looks like many of the items involved have already been delivered and are now live. From your perspective, where are we currently at in the journey toward Tezos X being considered market ready?
Yeah. Let me repeat again. That Tezos is about evolving gradually. And it's not, when I say end of 2026, we deliver Tezos X roadmap, I should probably say at the end of 2026, it will be delivered because actually it is delivered pieces by pieces. Mm-hmm. SR-Link has been delivered a long time ago. It was one piece of the DAL has been delivered also a long time ago, and is one piece of it. So it's being continuously delivered. We are on track, and I mean it's quite unusual, but actually it's a 2 years long roadmap, and we are on track. Okay, we are on track. Let's look at the capacity of the system. I think it was yesterday that my some engineers in the Core Layer 2 team get to me and say, "Oh, actually, we have upgraded this and that, and we thought we were at 20 megagas per second, which is roughly what Arbitrum 1 is providing, which is already a leading blockchain in terms of capacity. But actually, we can do 60. Okay. So 60, it means that we are very close to Solana in terms of capacity. We are already delivering. I mean, Base, for instance, they want to have 100 million gas per second, but at some point, that's their target. Okay, and we are at 60, and we are continuously improving. Okay, mm-hmm. So. And the same for the DAL. The bandwidth has been increased to something that we already think is quite enough for what we want to do with Tezos X by the end of 2026. So it's continuously delivered, and I really like seeing the core engineers focusing, delivering, moving to the next steps. And every time it looks like it's easy, but actually every time there are new very difficult challenges to solve, but they are good.
Okay, so what you're saying is there's no final date when we can say Tezos X is done. It's an ongoing evolution, just like the ecosystem itself.
It will be. Our goal is to have it first, what we have described as a roadmap, to be delivered by the end of 2026. But it's actually already there. That's what I want to.
Okay, and then we get the next roadmap.
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned Etherlink in there, and I wanted to touch on that a bit, since it's one of the most crucial facets of the Tezos X vision, and it's now live and in the wild. What kinds of Etherlink-driven changes have you started to see within the Tezos ecosystem since Etherlink went live?
I think for a long time, the Tezos ecosystem has suffered from not being EVM compatible. EVM is a de facto standard. Okay, to be honest, it's not pretty, but that's how it is. DeFi, billions of liquidity are on EVM compatible chains, and if you want to be part of the game, you need to be EVM compatible. Mm-hmm. And to be very clear with everyone, Etherlink is not a separate product. It's not a separate chain. It's simply the EVM compatible layer of Tezos. Mm-hmm. It's what opens the gates to the full market of DeFi, typically. Okay, so that's how it must be seen. It's not L2, VSL1, etc. No. It's a whole. It's Tezos. Okay, and part of it is the gate to the other chains that we don't really like, technically speaking, but they have the money. They are the market. We want to be there, but we have other proposals to make. Okay, the Justice, Tezlink, etc. All of this is part of Tezos X. So it's really opening the door as much as possible to the Web3 space by being EVM compatible. So that's what Etherlink brings. Okay, and in addition to that, we want to be competitive in this space. It's not simply being EVM compatible. No. We want to be the best EVM compatible layer. We want people that are already deploying on Arbitrum or Ethereum to say, oh no, actually, we want to deploy on Tezos because everything is it just works. Actually, they have this crazy latency of several dozens of milliseconds. Some people try to do it, but they actually have it on mainnet. That's something that we are pushing right now. They have this capacity that is already very close to what Base wants to do at some point. Okay, all of this needs to make Etherlink a clear place to be for EVM people. Okay, that's the vision for Etherlink.
Okay.
But it's not a separate product. Just let me repeat this again. It's just the EVM compatible layer for Tezos.
Within, as you said before, the monolithic stack. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So with that vision in mind, and as we're moving toward that point in 2026 when we'll consider Tezos X delivered, how do you see that impacting Tezos's place within the larger blockchain and crypto ecosystem once it's all fully in place?
So it's a good question. I want to picture a situation where actually a builder considers Tezos as a right platform, decentralized infrastructure to deploy the system because, it's a good time to value, it's a predictable cost, all of this, it's obvious. I want to deploy on Tezos. But by doing that, I not only make the deployment easy and development easy, but I also reach all Web3 users in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I have both the technological excellence of Tezos that is recognized, it's clear, but also the adoption because I can reach a large user base, the largest as possible. So that's how I picture the success for Tezos X, and we are working super hard to make this picture an actual reality. Could tell you so many stories about how we will explore things, etc. That are not strictly part of the roadmap as it has been communicated.
Mm-hmm.
There are the right additions to make this vision an actual reality. It's super exciting.
And what seems to be has become really, really clear is that step one is creating the infrastructure. Step two is having the builders come and access the infrastructure and build their products on it. And step three is once those products are there and people want them, that brings the users, right?
Yes. I mean, the users actually, they don't really care about the chain, to be honest. It's fine that they care about, they at some point realize that it's running on Tezos and that's why it's working, but it's a bit, like your smartphone. I don't know if you are Apple or Android, but your smartphone, on Android. Actually, I'm not sure everyone knows that it's actually Linux that is running the system, Android system. But it's a bit the same. It's a bit of the same thing for blockchain. They are infrastructure, so users they don't really know. But what they know is what they are using a wallet, and they have ways to get yield, to get fast transfers, to interact with this D-app that is super trendy, and all of this is working very well, and it's cheap. Okay,
Yeah.
So if we can say to builders, well, you will get access to all these users with these additional properties, at least builders, they will know they have to deploy on us. It's exactly like AWS and GCP. I mean, my grandma, she knows nothing about GCP and AWS, okay? But developers of the app that my grandma is using, well, they choose very carefully in which cloud they deploy. Okay,
Yeah.
So that's where we are, and of course, I would say the end users at some point will realize that it's thanks to Tezos, but the main target should be developers.
Yeah, and as you say, like as people are engaging with the applications, they do not care which chain it's on. They do not care what's involved. They just want a product that they want that works the way they want it to. And if they get that, they will participate. And once they're participating, they're already in the ecosystem without even realizing it.
Exactly. The builders will be the ambassador. If they are super happy, they will say, oh, you know what? This app is working so well because it's on Tezos. And actually, the ethos of Tezos is also, I mean, they can do the marketing for us also. because we have been so far from bullshit. Sorry for the language, but we have been so pure in the way we approach decentralization. I think it's a marketing argument for builders that they can say to their users, there is no one to store your funds or have a privileged access to your keys because I'm using Tezos. That's the kind of marketing we want. But again, just targeting builders is the first step. I agree with you.
And we could go on all day, but unfortunately, we've come to the end of our time here.
Already? Oh, okay.
It felt fast, didn't it?
Yeah.
To all our viewers, thanks for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our social media contacts can be found at tezoscommons.org/TezTalks. We'd love to hear from you. Yann, thanks so much for joining us today. It's always awesome to speak to the folks working tirelessly to help the Tezos ecosystem continue to evolve. Is there anything else you wanted to make sure you mentioned before we sign off here?
Not really. Maybe don't. If you have Tez, don't forget to stake. It's always good to repeat this because people may just forget to do it. It's really important. Apart from that, thank you a lot for the questions and the ambience. And thank you again.
Good. We'll definitely have you back on for your 4th appearance a year from now.
Yeah, probably. It will be a pleasure.
Awesome. To everyone out there in Tezos land, thanks for joining us on TezTalks Live. I'm Stu from the Tezos Commons, and our awesome guest has been Yann Regis-Gianas from Nomadic Labs. Now let's go vote on Tallinn.
Thank you.